Hey friends, Jill here. Welcome back to Whispering Willow Farm. It is a nasty, nasty spring day. It's spring break this week, so the kids are home with me. So I'm trying to not work too much this week and just enjoy the kids being home, but there are a few things I needed to do. I am actually doing one of the craziest things I have ever done to my plant starts before, which is actually gonna be this video. I really can't believe I'm doing it. I can't believe I'm sharing it with you guys that I'm doing it, but we'll get to that in a second. I wanted to check on some things real quick. I did have my first tulip bloom, as you guys can see here. It's a muddy mess out here. So these are the apricot impressions. They're absolutely stunning when they open, but because it's raining and there's no sun out, they've closed up. But the daffodils are still sprouting. We have quite a few more sprouts over here that'll probably pop up when the sun comes out in a few days. So I came into the glass greenhouse to take shelter because it started raining. We're actually going to make our way down to the seed starting tunnel. Sean and Melanie came out yesterday and finished our tables, so that's exciting. I'm going to show you guys what that looks like. So now officially everything is moved out of the glass greenhouse, which is really good. With it being spring, we do have a lot of the rain like this, but this glass greenhouse gets so hot that it has a tendency to burn a lot of the plants. And we do have these little vents up at the top, but even when they're open, it's just not enough. And so with the seed starting tunnel, I'm able to actually roll up the sides. We put cranks on them so I can roll it up just like I would our large tunnel. And then we have an automated vent in the back, and we also have a fan, which is kind of pulling all that hot air out. So I'm still probably going to be utilizing this space. I've been using this space a lot just to work. I can come out here in the mornings, open up the door if it's not, you know, super hot outside, and just come out here and do some work. And it's really peaceful. I love that it's in the cottage garden. So even though we're not utilizing this as our main greenhouse on the farm, it's still a space that I love and we will utilize. So don't worry, you guys, we're still gonna get use out of this. It's just gonna be more of an office space, creative space than a greenhouse space. Alright, so I have mentioned that we are starting seeds every single week. I did an entire video and I've hit on it a couple times. We have a whiteboard and it has our dates on when we needed to be starting things, transplanting them, direct seeding, all the nitty gritty, right? And so this week we actually don't have anything that we need to start, which works out because it's spring break, the kids are home, we've got plans later in the week, and so knowing that we don't really have to start anything on the farm this week is nice. But I've got soil over here, which is where we mix our soil in just kind of these totes. We get them at, like, I'm pretty sure Lowe's or somewhere like that. But I have some soil in here left over from when we did our soil blocks. And I'm actually going to need this because even though we're not starting anything on the farm this week, that crazy thing that I'm about to tell you that we're doing, I am going to need some soil for this. So I'm going to go ahead and add some soil in here. That is one thing that we are going to be moving around the layout of the tables in the seed starting tunnel. So we've got 2 tables on the right side, 2 tables in the middle, and then 1 table on the left, but Nathan made the makeshift tables out of wood and center blocks. And so we're going to move the long table to the right and then kind of keep a space in the middle where we can get one of those big troughs and put soil in it, make a little table to where we can seed things there. And so we are going to be moving around the layout of the seed starting tunnel a bit just to utilize our needs better, keep some pots and trays so we're not having to seed things up here and then move it down there. That doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. And so that's something that we'll probably work on in the next few weeks, because even though a lot of us are transitioning into spring and summer, we are going to be starting things in our seed starting tunnel year-round on the farm. So it's something that we need to put systems in place well enough now that can last us throughout the year. Alright, so I just have a few of these 6-pack cells from Bootstrap Farmer. You can tell they're pretty small, but they're going to work perfect for what we need. And so I'm just going to fill these bad boys up. I've got 4 of them, and I think that this is going to be plenty. So as you guys can see, the soil is already pre-moistened. I do recommend that if you are starting seeds. It's really important just to make sure that you have some sort of moisture in your pots and trays anyways, is what I have found is best. For me, I try to aim for that like spongy consistency, right? You can take the soil in your hand and squeeze it and it not fall apart, but it's wet. Usually everybody has their own preferences on this too, so that's how I do it. Obviously when we're starting soil blocks, we want it soupy, so it depends on how you're starting your things, but rarely do I ever fill a tray with just dry soil and then try to like saturate it, just because I don't like doing that, but that's my preference. I'm sure you guys have your own. So I had a feeling that I should have changed my shoes for my Birkenstocks and I should have grabbed the GoPro. I don't know if you guys can hear, but the rain is starting to come down now. So we're gonna wait it out a few more minutes and I might make a mad dash for it, so we'll see. All right guys, I'm convinced the rain's not gonna stop, so we're just gonna have to chance it. I did find the cat hiding out. Tito, you wanna say hi? So there's absolutely no way I can carry all of these trays. And I was really doing this just to kind of show you guys. I don't technically need these. I was going to show you what I'm going to show you and then sell these. So I'm just going to take 2 because I think I can run pretty fast with the camera and only 2 of these in my hand versus 4. So, Lord, here goes nothing. It's mainly my feet. Poor judgment from the gardener here wearing Birkenstocks in the middle of a spring rainstorm, so learn from my mistakes, guys. All right, you guys can see I've made it in. Here were all the tables I was talking about, and so essentially this table is going to be right here, and then we'll have an opening right here with soil, trays, some sort of table shelf situation. That way whenever you walk in, it'll just be this area for seating and then tables all around the side. So, crazy enough, everything that we have started right here will end up being 500 6-packs. So we started them in these really tiny trays. These are like 288 cell trays. You can see we've got some great germination happening, which is really encouraging since we've struggled with that. We've got our dahlias, we've got all these zinnias, we've got our ginger starting, so that's exciting. But we will up pot these into 6-packs, and that will actually be what we are selling for the plant sale. But today we're gonna talk about tomatoes. All right, so I'm gonna start with this. This is crazy, okay? This is by far, like I said, the craziest thing I have ever done with my plant starts before, okay? So I want you guys to know that on the front end. I also want you guys to know that I have personally never done this, but you all know we are co-farming this year with our friends Sean and Melanie. Sean ran a organic farm about an hour from us for several years. He ran all of their vegetable production. He's a farm consultant. He runs a cut flower business. He builds greenhouses. Like, the man knows what he's talking about. Sometimes he comes to me and is like, hey, I got this idea, and he's an expert in it, right? Like, he knows it, but it's unfamiliar to me, and I'm like, pump the brakes. And so he comes to me with this, and I remember last year he did this when he was managing the organic farm that he worked on before, and I thought, what in the world are you doing? Like this, what in the world are you doing? And it worked. And so he came to me with it this year, and I thought, what in the world? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And now here we are, and I'm doing it, and I'm showing all you guys what we're about to be doing. All right, so as you guys can see, I have got my greenhouse tomatoes. And so these are the tomatoes that we are growing just for production in the high tunnel. And because of that, we are really gonna cater to these like they are greenhouse high production tomatoes. And so by doing that, this comes the crazy thing that we're talking about here. I really can't believe I'm telling you guys this. All right, so I will start to, Sean is doing a video on this, really breaking it down and answering questions. I knew a lot of you guys were going to ask questions that I could not answer because this is the first time I'm doing this, right? I am taking his word for it and trusting that he is the expert, and I'm not when it comes to this stuff, right? And so I'm going to link his video. I'll actually put it up here, and it will be in the description. So make sure you're hopping over there, checking his out. He's going to be answering a lot of the questions that you guys might have regarding this. But essentially what we're going to do, you guys, we are going to decapitate our sweet little tomato plant here. No tears will be shed in the making of this video. And so, yeah, that's essentially what we're doing. We're going to decapitate them. This is what one already looks like. He did it a couple days ago. But you guys can see here. So you've got the leaves here, and then you have the true leaves, which is this part right here at the top, okay? So that's the difference. And so what you're going to do is take pruner, snips. I'm just going to use my fingers, and we're going to snip right above that. And what that leaves you with is just these little leaves. Now, this is going to set your plants back, okay? Which is why we're not gonna have to worry about potting up right now, because now this plant has to refocus its energy. Now you might ask, Jill, why on earth would you do that? This was also a question that I asked Sean. Why on earth would we do this? You're coming in here, we've catered to these babies, they got great root systems, and now we're literally just like decapitating them. It's the craziest thing I've ever done. And it's scary and I don't like it, but I trust him, so we're doing it. And essentially what we're doing is we hard prune, which this is what we've done on our farm even before we grew in a greenhouse, is we hard pruned, meaning we're taking off a lot of that foliage, okay? And so when we do that, typically when you have 2 liters, which is what we try to prune to, we're not doing a lower and lean method or anything like that. We try to prune it to 2 liters, but how we get that second liter, because you have the original stalk right here, is we have to wait for a sucker to grow in between these little armpits. So let's say we kept the tomato like this. We'd have to wait for a little plant to, you know, a sucker to produce right here. We'd have to not prune it, and then that would be our second leader. The bad thing is that it's not even when that happens. You're producing fruit at different stages, and it's harder. And so what you can do is you can top them like what we're doing right now, and essentially these are now going to produce plants, and it's going to refocus its energy into doing that. And so we immediately have those 2 liters is the best, you know, is how I understand it best. Now, I have seen Sean's tomatoes. I have seen him do this. They produce crazy good fruit. And so I've seen it work before. I've just certainly never done that. And so that's what the idea is. Okay, I'm going to try to do a rundown again just so that everyone kind of understands. I know that I even have a hard time wrapping my head around this. So now I have decapitated all of my little tomato babies. It seems super, super sad, but because of how we are choosing to grow to 2 liters, and because this is greenhouse production, we feel okay about it. So instead of, like I said, instead of letting the true leaves stay on there, waiting for a sucker to happen and let it go, we're doing this. And so now it's essentially gonna V out and put 2 stems. And those 2 stems will be super strong, and when we plant them out, we'll immediately have those 2 stems that we're going to continue to hard prune to, and so it'll just make things easier for us in the greenhouse and for production. Now, one thing that was really sad to me about decapitating all of my tomatoes is, like, we have all of these stinking tomato babies. I mean, literally, I've got all of these tops, so it's like, what do we do with this? I don't want anything to go to waste. And so that's why we went to the glass greenhouses, because I'm not gonna let these go to waste. I've filled this 6-cell tray, and essentially what I'm gonna do is just take it, push it down in my pre-moistened soil. You guys can see here, and I'm going to do this, and then these are going to grow roots, and we're going to have tomato plants. And the great thing is now we're going to be able to sell these at the plant sale, and so you're kind of getting a 2-for-1 deal. We're not doing this to any of our cherry tomatoes, and also too, the sooner you do this, the better, right? Because I need to account for time, because now I've just set these plants back quite a bit of time by doing this, and so ideally I would have already done this maybe like a week or so ago, but I didn't, and that's okay. I'm not going to stress out about it. But I did go ahead and get out here this morning to do it, knowing that it is going to set us back, but we do have the benefit of growing in a tunnel, so we know that our plants are going to grow faster than if they were grown outside. And so this is what we're doing. I'm going to water this really well. I'm going to fill the other ones up, and we're going to have all these other little tomato babies. So here are the decapitated tops of my tomatoes, and here are my sad little babies that are going to grow to be beautiful tomatoes. So I wanted to show you guys that because I don't know how many of you guys maybe are familiar with that or have even seen that in your time of growing. Like I said, I know that this is totally new for me, right? And I've seen Sean do it before, so I know that it works. Obviously, I trust him. He's my farming partner, and he's been doing this professionally a lot longer than I am. But I did want to kind of show you guys this because I want to be able to take you guys on the journey with me to see and really explain. You guys know we're shifting towards production, and this is one of those things that we're going to have to do a little bit differently, and it's catering to the production that we're trying to achieve in our tunnels. Now, I'm not telling you to go out and decapitate all your tomatoes, especially if you're not growing in a tunnel. If you are doing a lower and lean method, or maybe you're growing determinate varieties and you're doing a Florida weave, this is not going to work for you, right? So know that I'm not saying go and prune all your tomatoes, take and just top them, but this is what we're doing, and I thought it'd be fun to kind of show you guys. So I have a few more of these little tomato tops to get into some soil. It looks like we've had a little bit of a break in the rain, so I'm going to run the other ones down here. But stay tuned for this. So I want to know, leave it in the comments. One, have you ever seen this done before? And then two, if you have and you've done it, leave your results. I would love to know also if you have more questions, you want to get into the nitty-gritty of how all this works. Make sure that you go check out Sean's video, ask him all the questions. He is going to be much more knowledgeable about this. I am just kind of trusting his expertise here, and I know it's going to work out. I'm not really worried about it. I'm just trusting him. But it is a little cuckoo. I understand that. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I'll talk to you soon.